So I've actually never kept cichlids before. So recently I put it to you guys about what I should do with the nice big tank that I've got. And this is a tank that I'm talking about. Obviously those small aquariums won't be in there. But yeah, so this is 170 litres, it's 90 centimetres across, 50 high, 60 back. So it's a good size. So after much to-ing and fro-ing and researching and looking at everything, I've decided to settle on South American cichlids. Now specifically the dwarf kind, so like your rams, keyholes, that sort of, you know, those sort of fish. And I think we can get a really interesting mix in there. We can do like a little bit of a community vibe and get some really good sort of behaviour between them all. And I've got another plan as well, which I'm going to talk about later on in the video. But for now, let's get on with the build. So I'm thinking big rocky outcrop in this corner, going to a smaller sort of island version in this area. Lots of substrate that can be pushed around, but also easily cleaned as well. So I don't want anything underneath the substrate. We can really get awesome water quality. We can get everything looking perfect. Well, that's enough talking. Let's just get on with it. Right, so I've now applied about the third layer of paint. Every layer I'll sort of go a little bit thinner with the paint, and then eventually it's all sort of covering and filling the gaps. On the first roll it doesn't look like it's tacking very well, but that's alright, that's normal. Just let that dry, each layer with your hairdryer. No need for me to switch that on then at all. And then you'll just be, in no time it'll just be done. Like, it can take a little bit of time. So far I've been painting and drying this for like 30 minutes, so it's not too bad. But the effect is going to be really good because although there is already a black background, you know, on the wall, you do get that really, really dark black when you full on paint the glass. I don't know why full on paint the glass, but just paint the glass. Like, you'll see, I'll show you a comparison in a minute as well, just to show you what the difference is, but it is worth the extra effort for definite when you want to get that really deep black background. Really gives a good sense of depth all the way in the tank as well. Oh, whoops. Right, so hopefully you can see, no, you don't know if you can see actually with the light. Let me turn that light off. But look, you can see the difference in the deepness of the black, yeah? When we've got water in here and I haven't got all these other lights on as well, it'll look really good. I'm not going to keep that light up there because I want to do more of a spotlight for this because I think it'll look really good. But right now I want to get all my rocks laid out like I usually do so we can just pick the right pieces to go in, just have it all laid out, put it in like a jigsaw puzzle. Lots of rock going in this one. Hopefully it'll still look amazing. So, don't know what that was. I'm not playing darts. So there's all our rock selection. There's loads there to choose from. Let me put my foot on for some sense of scale and my lovely looking socks, all stripy. There's quite a lot of weight there, you're probably thinking. So there's a good opportunity actually to talk about the tanks. So both these tanks, to be fair, are from Aquariums for Life. They're absolutely quality. They look amazing. I mean, look, inside, just an extension lead in at the moment. They're double skinned with the oak inside. But yeah, so you're probably thinking, there's a lot of weight there. Can you really put that on glass? Well, you can put egg crate and stuff like that down. I'm not too worried. There's actually loads of flat pieces on this as well. So that's all sat flat on that floor there, which means that we'll be able to stack it quite nicely. And this glass, look, is really thick. I think this is the 10 mil thickness of glass. I mean, that's not getting cracked by any of that stuff. Okay guys, I'm really liking how that's turned out. So let me explain what I've done there. It's kind of like a loose triangular composition. Basically kept one side angled and higher and then a smaller sort of island. I did want to separate them, but it would prove just taking up too much space basically. I want to make sure there's enough room on the bottom for all the sand to go in the corners, be pushed around. Plus you don't want to block any corners. I mean, that's a little bit close. You want the flow to be able to go around, obviously, so it can pick up any waste. But for now, I just want to get the sand in and get the filter going, get all the water going. It's a very simple scape, isn't it? But I think it's going to look really good. I'm going to make that light less sort of... I was going to change the light. I might try and just tape. See where I've got the tape on there? You can see I've got like tape. That was to reduce the lighting levels. You've effectively cut your lighting levels in half by doing this because obviously loads of the LEDs are blocked. I'm thinking maybe I can just cut off the edges of each side and just have like a spotlight area in the middle and bring it forward so it's not highlighting the back wall so much. Right, so far so good. For the substrate, I think I'm going to use a combination of some of the sort of lighter sands that I've got. So anyway, let's just crack on. Let's just get the sand in. Probably going to go milky. I'm not going to bother washing it because I'm not putting fish in soon, so I don't mind it going a bit cloudy. We can get the filter going. I've got really good filter from Oase in there anyway, which I know is just going to clean it up in no time. So, and don't forget guys, if you want to become a member and join the behind the scenes club, you can click the join button below. I do lots of sort of raw footage stuff and ask for your opinions on stuff that I'm struggling to make a decision on. If that's something you're interested in, yeah, please consider joining. Okay, a bit dusty, but hopefully you can see there, look. So I've gone for a much lighter substrate. So what I'm trying to simulate there is more of a reef. Now hear me out, hear me out. What I want to do, and this is what I was alluring to earlier on in the video, I want to make more of a freshwater reef. So reef tanks often have quite a good, nice bit of rock work, and then all the stuff is displayed on that rock work only. So, well, not always, but you know, you quite often see it like that. So I think that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to use all the different areas to display some Java fern, some Anubias, but keeping it all on the rock work only. And then we can have the fish all sort of going around that, like a little bit like a reef, you know. I think that'll look really cool, and it'll work really well in contrast to the tank right next to it, which is just going to be the angelfish jungle. So that's going to be like a wall of green, if you like, a jungle, and then we've got more rock work with greenery on it. There's no point just putting two tanks right next to each other that are the same, and I think this is going to work great. Hopefully you guys will agree with me. Maybe it's hard to visualize at the moment. Let's see how it looks at the end. It might be awful and I change it next video. Hopefully not though, because I've got a picture of my head and I think it's going to look awesome. Okay, so what are we going to do for planting? Well, I've got this plant vat down here, which is below the Rainbow River tank. I've got a bucket full of different plants here, and I've got this big plant vat here. So we've got loads and loads to choose from. We've got like Rotala rotundifolia in there. We've got Java fern. This one's got loads of mature Rotala. It's got Rotala hra. We've got Crips. Needs a water change, but you know, we've got loads of floating ones that I've trimmed off from the discus tank inside as well. They can go in there. So what I deliberately want to create with this one is like little pockets of colour, because that's how it sort of looks on a reef tank. You have most of your corals sort of separate, and I want to do that as well with the plants and keeping their own little sections, which is not really how you do it in aquascaping. You tend to do like a balance. If you've got one thing one side, you tend to do it on the other side, but we're going to go for something completely different, because why not? So that there is pretty much all the greenery I want to do. I deliberately don't want to go overboard in this one because I want to make it more about the rock work and more about the fish themselves. Obviously we need some injections of colour as well if it's going to be a reef tank, so... Well, it's not a reef tank, but you know what I mean, like a freshwater reef. So I've got this little collection of Rotala HR here that I've trimmed off of my discus tank. Really good little plants. Look at how red that, well, it looks kind of purpley here, but under the right light it goes red. I'm going to put that in the background and just have that sprouting up as its own sort of like red seaweed, if you like. So I think that's looking really good, and I like the idea of having that red patch, and I want some more red patches everywhere. So what I've done is I've got even more of my Rotala HR there, look. I've divided it up into different lengths and heights. That's the same thing. But a good tip for you is like not to try and get them perfectly sized, because you'll find that some will grow taller than others, and you can just trim the ones that are too tall, and that way you don't have to like completely hack back a whole section in one go, which I think just spoils the look. So I'm going to get these in the background, obviously, these a little bit in the foreground, and these right at the front I'm going to, and just keep them trimmed nice and short all the time, but have some nice injection of red at the front then. So I think that's coming along really nicely so far, just how I wanted it. Little pockets of colour dispersed in amongst the green. What I would really like to do is on some rocks like here and in the foreground and just a couple of little key areas, just put some moss just to sort of represent like Zoa coral or something like that. You know, the short corals you get that stay small. Not going to go overboard with it though, because I still want to see a lot of the rock work. And at the back there, I think some Hygrophila pinnatophyta will look really good, just sort of, because you can attach pinnatophyta to anything, like it doesn't have to be rooted, so you can glue it on its sort of rhizome. It's like a rhizome, I think it's a rhizome. Anyway, yeah, you can glue it onto rock, and that'll be perfect, I think, in that back area. And then maybe a little bit of Bolbitis behind it as well, and then I think we're done. But this is where I'm getting the moss from, not at the top there, obviously that's terrestrial moss, but just below the surface you can see here. Look at all that really nice moss we've got. It's getting overgrown, so it needs trimming back, but that'll be perfect, because then we can place it in our new tank. And hopefully, you know, Pancho won't try and bite me, but let's see what he does. He knows I'm food now. He's gonna go. No, he's all right. He knows. He's like, that's not my pincers. That's not my food. Good boy. So for filtration, guys, we're going to be using the Oase Biomaster Thermo 350. Why am I talking like this? So what's brilliant about these filters, I said before, is that they've got a built-in heater, which means you don't have to put it in your tank. But the thing that I like the most is that I can just flip this, oh, not with one hand, but this is very difficult. Flip that side, I can flip that side, and I can just pull out. This is the pre-filter, and inside, look, it's got like a sponge system. And you just pull these off and clean them when they get clogged, and it means that then that is not in with your filtration. It's just there. You can clean it regularly, and it just keeps the water quality really, really good. They work so well. They're my favourite filters. They're the best filters that I've ever used anyway. Never had a problem with any of them. And also, this is a 350, so it's going to suit this size tank perfectly, and it's going to create a good flow as well. I always add additional flow to stuff like this as well, because I want to get a high flow going. So I add a little internal power head as well. I'm going to that side, which polishes the water as well. So I'm going to have like double pre-filters, if you like. So I'm really happy with where we are at the moment, but I think what we need to do now is just get some water in there, get some flow going around, see if we need to add any plants in other areas, because it's all well and good planting like this, but it doesn't really look like it's going to look when all the water's in there. So let's get that water in. A little bit of a top tip for you guys. If you look here, basically I've just got an old piece of like, you know, U-bend in a filter inlet, and I've just attached some foam to the bottom, elastic band. You just hook it over the end like that, turn the tap on. You don't have to worry about it like really messing up your substrate and spraying everywhere, because look, you're just going to drip down and go on this. It'll stir up a little bit on the bottom there, but it won't matter, because look, there's barely any there. It's now been overnight and the tank's really cleared up, and I think it's looking really good. What do you think, guys? Look at that. So the look I was going for, I think I've achieved quite nicely. I think it does look like a freshwater reef tank. So we've got the shimmering white sands, as you can see. We've got some nice high flow going on. I've achieved that look because hopefully you can see there. The way I've achieved the high flow is I put in that internal power head there, which actually got like a little filter section as well. I put in some of that white filter floss to start with because it's just really cleared the water up nicely in no time. But yeah, I think that's worked a treat. Look, we've got those little standalone pockets of colour that I was going for. Those background plants there, that Rotala rotundifolia and the Rotala hra, can be trimmed up regularly and replanted, so we get a nice big bushy section there that will keep nice and low. I think that the Java fern at the top here acts a little bit like, you know, how seaweed would. And then we've got little pockets of hra as well as we look around. Again, this can be one of those really cool scapes that just evolves as we go. I didn't want to overpack it with like plants to begin with because I just want us to be able to add stuff as it goes along. I really like the whiteness of the sand. It won't stay pure white because we will get a diatom bloom, I'm sure. Usually is the case, but the perfect thing is with this setup is that if the sand is looking a bit rough, I can just get right in there and just stir it all up and it won't matter because there's nothing underneath it at all. So plants like Rotala, I've found, you know, you can float them in water and they'll grow really well. So you don't actually need a substrate for them. You can plant them in anything and they'll grow good. Hence why I've been able to put them in this sand that's got nothing in it at all, and they'll still grow nicely as long as we put some nutrients into the water column. I'll use some fertilizers for that. But yeah, I think we've got a really nice look there. It's what I wanted. It's going to look really different to what's next to it, which would be just basically a whole wall of green because it's going to be a jungle at the end of the day. But look at that. And you know, those red pockets in there are only going to get more red. I was going to change the light out, but I think this is working really well. It lights it up nicely. It's not too bright. I've actually raised it slightly even more just to ensure that we don't get much algae. We will get algae. Everyone gets algae, but you know, hopefully we can keep it far more under control at this level of light. So I think we've really managed to achieve the look that I was going for, which was the freshwater reef. I mean, come on, that's a reef tank, isn't it? With plants in. What? You can't put plants in salt water? Oh, it's not salt water. I'm going to confuse people even more now, aren't I? The amount of times I get asked, can you put Nemo in there? I'm like, oh, fuck. So as I said before, I'm going to be going for the South American cichlids. Specifically, I'm going to be going for like rams and keyhole cichlids and a nice big shoal in there. How good's that going to look? Just a big shoal of like ember textures just swimming around. It's going to look well good, isn't it? So that's that tank complete. Why don't I take you on a tour of the rest of the studio for those of you that haven't seen it. First of all, over here we've got the dirted tank on this side versus the Aquasaur tank on this side. They're both actually doing really well now, so I can't complain at all. Both methods work really, really well. And then next up, we've got empty tank. This will be scaped soon. Still getting some details sorted on that one. But next to it, we've got Pancho's Paludarium. Look at that. The moss is really coming into its own now. It's starting to sprout all sorts of things. I've got no idea what they are, but they all look really good. So yeah, he hangs on down here. Look, he thinks I'm about to feed him because I've just put my arm over the top. And when I do that, he knows it's food time usually, but he's all right for the minute. Then we've got the Goldfish Tank. The lights are still coming on a bit bright, so we'll leave them as they are a minute. But look, there is Ember, Ghost, and Pumpkin. They're just chilling. Tank needs a clean, to be fair, but I wanted to keep it real with you guys. It's not always perfect, is it, in a fish room? This is my little shrimp tank with a crystal red currently just going for a stroll. La 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 la. Yeah, my favorite. Look at how beautiful those crystal reds are. I've got about 6 or 7 crystal reds in there, and the rest are just like cherries and different sort of mixes, really. I don't really mind what's what. I just chuck them in and just let them do their thing. This is the cave aquarium. It's not looking great. It's been on blackout because I'm trying to get rid of some cyanobacteria and some sort of Fred hairy algae sort of thing, but I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I'm probably going to be breaking this one down soon and going for something a little bit different. I've had it for quite a while, and it's, you know what I'm like, I like to change things up every now and again. But then we've got obviously the big Rainbow River, look, fast flow this side with all the fish swimming around in it, loving it. And then on the other side, we've got the steady flow. So yeah, look, you can see there, look how cool they all look. Chilling out in that current. I mean, they won't be chilled out if I put some food in there, they all go nuts. It needs a little bit of a top up. I've had some evaporation there, look, because that is the water level I normally keep it at. But you know, I've been filming this weekend, as you guys well know. And then right next to him, our friend Mike. Magic Mike, he's looking great. The tank is crystal clear as well. Look at that. I should probably trim the moss, shouldn't I? But it just looks so good. It just looks so raw and like natural. If I trimmed it, you'd see a lot more of that awesome red Rotala HRA. That's what I've just planted in the new tank. Not that, because that's there, but you know, that's looking good. Hello, mate. He's such a cool fish. He loves coming to... He waits there, look, because there's a little gap, and that's where I put the food in, and he knows. They're clever little things, these bear fish. And then obviously we've got the new reef right there. Well, not reef, but kind of reef. And then next to it, this is Timmy's little, what do we call it? It's Timmy's paludarium. It's a paludarium, really. I don't even know. Timmy's shallow? Whatever. Timmy! I don't know where he is at the moment. He's so good at hiding. Let me see if I can find him. Yay, so I found him. He was hiding in a little cave somewhere. I didn't move him out. He just, when I found him and lifted up a rock, he came running out, bless him. I think he thinks he's about to be fed, so I'm not going to because it's in the morning, so it's not his feeding time till the afternoon. But a little bit of algae on the glass there, but that's not a problem. It's all natural, isn't it? Look at him, he's so cute. Look, if you think he's big, no he's not. That's how small he is. Possibly the cutest thing you've ever seen in your life. So I'm really happy with how this one's turned out, guys. Hopefully you are too. Thank you for sticking around to the end. This is going to be one of those really good tanks that evolves over time. So yeah, I look forward to seeing how it progresses in the future, and I'll see you on the next one.